The following featured presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 421 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
In the animated movie, she can write her name, and it has been I guess a plot hole for the last 30 years
That I never
even
noticed.
thought about it.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets lab.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never Land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! What's the scuttlebutt? It's time to go under the sea, explore uncharted waters, and become part of that world on this episode. But first, we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel fandom. So it's time. It's time for a big Wookiee hug and a little sprinkle of pixie dust for our family of Skywalkers. Now, we are recording this, or I am recording this on Long Beach, California on May the 30th, 2023. Now, I am Sarah Woloski. Richard Woloski, my co-host and husband, usually introduces me, but it is the start of summer. That's when our busy schedule kicks into high gear. He is currently hard at work on new Today in Star Wars History Minute videos for our YouTube and other channels so that we can get ahead of ourselves. So instead, I have enlisted the help of our sister podcast on the Skywalking Network, the Neverland Clubhouse. And on this episode, we are going to break down Disney's newest live-action remake, The Little Mermaid. So first, I want to welcome Courtney Turckel. Hey, Courtney.
Hey.
Yeah. So first of all, we're going to introduce each of you in person, in turn. So Courtney, what is your favorite line from a Little Mermaid song?
Well, I am partial to Poor Unfortunate Souls, and I love the line that says, now it's happened once or twice, someone couldn't pay the price, and I'm afraid I had to rake them across the coals.
Whoa! It's a dark side, Courtney, today. Okay, I like it. All right, well, next I want to introduce Kelly Turckel. Hey, Kelly.
Hi. I'm
You
so
excited?
excited.
Talking Little Mermaid tonight. We all dressed for the part. I got my little mermaid
I got
colors
the
on.
picture of the front of the Wish.
Oh, the Disney Wish.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, what is your favorite line of dialogue or favorite line from a Little Mermaid song?
So this kind of resonated with me when I watched the movie on Saturday, and it says, "Betcha on land they understand that they don't reprimand their daughters, bright young women sick of swimming, ready to stand." I love that line. Just because you always think it's greener on the other side. The grass is always greener on the other side, but it's not always. I mean, we get reprimanded too.
Okay, this is so funny because I was going to share my favorite line. Kelly, you stole it.
Oh no! Sorry.
Out of all the lines, of all the dialogue. So, I love, We don't reprimand your daughters. So I was 8 when I first saw this movie, and I did not understand what reprimand meant. So this song taught me what that word meant, because I went and I looked it up in our dictionary, and I was like, wow, they don't reprimand their daughters. Oh, that's so funny. And I don't think I got, as a kid, how ironic that line is.
Right. Yeah. You always think the grass is always greener on the other side, but it's not always. And everybody's got problems. Everybody's got something that they want and something that they don't like about themselves,
Yeah. Actually, you guys in the Sky Chat, let us know what your favorite line from a Little Mermaid song is. That's a little harder than what's your favorite song? So we want to know. Let us know.
It was hard.
we want to welcome Joey. Joey's here. Yay. And Julie, we had already welcomed Julie. Also, Wesley's here. Saw it on Sunday night. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people saw it over the weekend. Awesome. All right. Well, Kelly, who's sponsoring this episode?
We are being sponsored by Small World Vacations. They are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency. It can help you book your trip to Disney parks around the world. Best of all, their service is free of charge. So head to smallworldvacations.com for a no-obligation price quote and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Perfect. Okay, Julie has answered the question. Let's see, Courtney, you want to read her reply here?
Julie says, I was 13 when the animated movie came out, and that line resonated with me too, because I was a teen with that parent drama.
All right, so Disney's live-action Little Mermaid made a splash in theaters this weekend, opening on May 26th, 2023. And over the Memorial Day weekend, it grossed $117 million at the domestic box office. And it is now the 5th highest grossing Memorial Day weekend opener. Just to give you guys an idea, Top Gun Maverick is the highest grossing at $160 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not too far off.
No, it's not. And 5th highest, that's pretty good, especially after the pandemic. Pandemic numbers, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, before we dive into the new Little Mermaid, let's kind of share our experience with the original 1989 animated Little Mermaid film so we can gauge our nostalgia. So when did you both first see it? Courtney, we'll start with you.
Well, I had to have been about 3 or 4 years old because, it came out in 89 and I think I was 3 then. And I just remember, I don't remember seeing it in theaters, but I remember watching it over and over and over on VHS when we got it. And I remember recording myself on home videos, screaming, singing at the top of my lungs, Part of Your World and the Part of Your World reprise. So, yeah, I have very much an affinity for this movie growing up, and I had to have been about 3 or 4 when I first saw it.
Wow. So it's probably one of those that just played over and over again at your house.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we wore out one videotape and had to buy another one.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what about you, Kelly?
Well, it came out in 89, and I was born in 89. So I do have a connection with it there. But like Courtney said, we had the videotape, so I don't think I ever saw it in theaters. Couldn't have. Wasn't alive. Or I was very, very young. Our dad called this our babysitter. He would put this on, and we would just watch it all the way through, be mesmerized by it, and he used it so that he could have whatever time he wanted. I think when he went to go mow the lawn in the backyard.
Yeah. That's funny.
I just remember, I remember me and Courtney both spinning in a circle in our living room, singing at the top of our lungs, Part of Your World, in front of the TV. I think we have home movies of us doing it. Yeah. Definitely, I don't remember if we watched it all the way through all the time, but I definitely remember watching that part and Under the Sea, and we of course had sing-along tapes with the songs, so
yes,
very attached to it.
Cool. Yeah, and similar to me, I grew up, I was 8 when this movie came out, so perfect age. I saw it in the theater that summer. I freaked out. I loved it so much. I was the perfect age for all those Disney Renaissance movies. And that same summer, my parents put in a pool in our backyard. So immediately, a child's imagination, that pool, the deep end of our pool became the undersea kingdom of Little Mermaid with King Triton's castle, everything. And I would pretend I would like swim with my legs together, you know, like my ankles together. And I'd even put one of those like diving rings around my ankles so I couldn't move them apart.
Wow.
So I would like swim that way and
You
like
really
try
wanted
to
to be a
dive.
mermaid.
I did want to be a mermaid. And now I see in the stores, like in Walmart and stuff, like all these mermaid swimming stuff, like even like mermaid fin things. And I'm like, if I could only have had that when I was 8, that would have been amazing.
Right.
So yes, needless to say, it's very nostalgic for me as well. All right. So looking now at The Little Mermaid, this movie has been in development for, I think, 5 years. We've known about it. So what were your expectations going into this movie, and then your overall takeaway when you finally saw it? Kelly, start with you.
So when I heard they were going to do the Little Mermaid remake, you know, we've had a lot of live action remakes. And I was skeptical, you know, it's something that I didn't really want it to be touched. I didn't know if I wanted a live action version. When they announced the cast, it wasn't that I was disappointed, but like Hallie wasn't on my radar at all. The only thing I knew her from was Grownish. And I guess it was the show, but I didn't really know a lot about her voice and her acting. I didn't like it in Grownish, so I was a little skeptical about it. But I had hopes, and when we, you know, saw bits and pieces of it, we kept getting little pieces of it. I was like, oh, okay, this could be really good. It looks really good. It's sounding really good. And really got like, okay, I'm open to it. I'm going to go see it, you know. And my takeaway is I loved it. I really loved it. And we'll talk about it, but I really loved it.
Yeah, we're going to get into detail about that. Okay, perfect. All right, so Courtney, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about The Little Mermaid live action, I was like, nope, don't need another remake. Don't need it.
Was it right after you saw Lion King live action?
Pretty much. And I didn't want that one either.
Yeah, that was a dig.
I have strong feelings about Lion King. But I was not a fan of Hallie either. I had heard her sing on Disney Channel. They do these like Disney Channel Circle of Stars things, and they did one for Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Oh. And her and her sister were on that one and were singing. It didn't do anything for me yet. So when I heard she was going to be Ariel, I was like, oh no, no, please no. But after we went to D23 Expo and we saw the full part of your world, it really turned me around and said, and I felt like she did a very good job of portraying the essence of Ariel in her performance. So I was very pleased with it, and I was pleased with how the movie turned out after having like, no, please no. So yeah. I do think it's up there on the better scale of the remakes.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah. So my expectations going in, I did not know who Halle Bailey was when she was announced. I've never seen Grownish. I've seen Blackish, but not Grownish. So I didn't know who she was. But I was keeping an open mind. I thought Aladdin was a great remake. The rest have been okay to not good, or like, why did we do this? But otherwise, so yes, like you guys, D23 got me hyped when we saw the part of your world sequence. Like, I thought her voice was absolutely beautiful, but I was like kind of taken out of it by the hair, which I think they must have fixed by the film, because I remember the hair being weird. Because, I mean, how hard is that to animate hair in the water? Like, you can't film these actors underwater singing. Like, that's just, you can't do it. So it's all CGI, and I thought it was weird. And then one of the Little Mermaid previews that we saw showed Sebastian and Flounder and Scuttle, the live action versions, and I was just like totally put off by them. I was like, oh, how is this gonna work? But when I saw them in the film, everything just kind of flowed and worked. So
I wasn't bothered by them.
Yeah, so I think once you're in the proscenium of the world of under the sea, it just, all of that flies away and you're just in the story. Yeah. And so I think this film did a great job doing that. This is one of the very few films that I've seen a preview for and then been like, all right, I want to see this opening weekend with my girls, which we all went and saw it. And I actually bought a ticket for it. So if that's not saying something, I put my money where my mouth is.
Right. Yeah.
I really liked this film. And I think it's on par with Aladdin in terms of the remakes. Okay, so we've already talked a little bit about Halle Bailey. Oh, but wait, there's some comments here. So Wesley says, let's see. Oh, so Wesley thought her hairstyle works better than free-flowing hair. Okay, because she has...
It wasn't the locks that threw me off, because her real locks are great. They're fine. The locks that were in... the locks in underwater aren't hers at all. When she filmed the scenes underwater, she was wearing a cap, like cap,
like a green probably cap.
Yeah, so all of the hair that she has underwater is digital. Okay. That is why it looks the way it does.
Okay. All right. So, what do we think? Let's expound on Halle Bailey first of all. And anyone here watching, please let us know what you thought of Halle Bailey's performance. Did you love it? Was there things you really liked that she did? Nuances? What did you guys think? And also, I mean, the representation I think is fantastic.
Yes. I'm all for casting people for what they earned. Like, if they come into the audition and kill that audition, I don't care what race, color, gender you are. Maybe you should think about giving that person the role, Like, if they come in and take that role and like is good for the role, I'm all about giving the best person the role.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. I'm here for.
Yeah, Rob Marshall has stated in the press conference that I attended that Halle Bailey was the first person they saw for Little Mermaid. She absolutely killed it as part of your world. And Rob and Alan Menken looked at each other and were like, did we just find Ariel? But we've only been doing this for 5 minutes. So they saw like hundreds of other girls, hundreds of other different races, everything, And then they finally had Halle kept coming back. And eventually Rob says that she claimed the role for herself.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Julie shares, I thought she was amazing. She is Ariel. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. And Halle Bailey herself says that Ariel has truly helped me find myself and this young woman version of me. It's been 5 years of my life now, from 18 to now being 23. So those are like very intense, transformative years. But I especially feel like the themes of the film and what Ariel had to go through with her passions and drive and speaking up for herself. And even though it may be scary, she went for it. I feel like those things I really try to adopt and give to Halle, who I am now. So she's taught me so much for sure. So it sounds like Ariel really had Halle find her voice.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool.
I think it shows because, like I said, when I first heard her sing when she was younger, I didn't like the way she sang. But as she has evolved and studied Ariel and studied in this role, she's grown to be a beautiful singer. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And not just that, but like I'm one of those people that like will go on YouTube and watch every interview I can find if I really want to go see a movie, like if I'm really interested in it, like all the Marvel interviews, all the Star Wars interviews and stuff like that. I'm one that'll gobble up all those interviews even if before I see the movie. And I went on and I watched so many interviews with Hallie and Jonah, who plays Prince Eric, and she is so like she still has the mannerisms. She's so sweet. She's so nice. I watched her with a few kids interviewing her, and the way they looked up to her and was just like, oh my gosh, how was it to get to be Ariel? And she was like, it's so fun. I just think that she's just a really good role model for the kids right now and any one of us. Like she really commands it.
Well, let's read a few of these comments here. Let's see, Patty Nazarian, welcome Patty. Hallie did such a wonderful job. Her voice was beautiful and she nailed the role of Ariel. Her facial expressions were phenomenal that made me connect to her emotions. Yeah, her eyes are like so expressive.
They are.
So and the camera just just
she was talking about in these interviews that she really had to work on acting with no words because obviously her voice is gone. Yeah. So she's like, I had to work on expressing my emotions and everything I'm feeling and everything because she's on land for the very first time and she's taking everything in. Yeah. And she wants to be so excited, but she didn't want to be like over the top. And Rob Marshall said in one of his interviews that he wanted to step away from kind of like the charades and like the kind of like pantomiming or being like a mime of things. Like he really wanted it to show on her face. So she really had to work on it. And also he took out the scene of her signing the contract because he didn't want anybody to say like, why isn't she just writing things down for Eric? Because in the animated movie she can write her name.
Yeah, she can write her name.
And like it has been like I guess a plot hole for the last 30 years of why
that I never even thought
about it. Yeah, I didn't either.
Never even thought about it. I was like, oh, she just she signs the contract. That's all.
Yeah, she signs the contract, and it's been like a plot hole for a lot of for the 30 plus years that that she can write in the animated, but she can't write to Eric, and she can't get a piece of paper and a pen and write, but she can sign her name on a contract. So Rob Marshall wanted to take that out, which is why we got the blood scale.
Got it.
The blood, yeah.
Wow. Okay, hold on, Joey's weighing in here. All right, Courtney, why don't you read what Joey says?
Oh, it looks like Joey has a new Disney crush. But truthfully, she's a great and right choice.
Nice. Awesome. Wow. And Patty did not even realize that plot hole either.
And in the animated versions, she still remembers that she has to kiss him to break the spell.
Right. That was different.
Which in the live action version, she doesn't have to, or she doesn't get to remember that. She doesn't know what she has to do. She's just kind of like...
She knows who Eric is, but she
knows who Eric is, and she knows who he is, but she doesn't know what breaks the spell.
Perfect. Okay. Well, let's go into so we're already talking a little bit of the differences and similarities between the original and the live action, but I feel like the music is a big part of this.
Yeah.
And we have, I would say, 3.5 new songs.
Yes.
So we have, first of all, Wild Uncharted Waters, which is Eric's I Want song. We have For the First Time, which is Ariel's new song that she sings in her head. It's her thoughts as she is on land for the first time as a human. We have the Scuttlebutt, which is Scuttle and Sebastian sharing the rumor that Eric is going to propose, they assume, to Ariel, and they wake her up on the third day with this song. And then there's Another Part of Your World reprise. Is it reprise? Or
I've always called it reprise, but I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay, I've always called it reprise, but you guys let us know in the comments.
I don't know.
But this is the half because it's a part of your world reprise with Ariel at her lowest point. So Eric has proposed to Vanessa and she's like lost all hope. This is like her hopeless reprise of part of your world. Okay, so let's talk about these songs. First of all, let's go to the Wild Uncharted Waters Eric song. What did you guys think?
This one's my favorite out of all of them.
It was your favorite?
I loved it. Yes, I loved it. I loved that Prince Eric got an I Want song. I loved that it was about adventure and trying to find things that are beyond his kingdom. And I think that kind of gives it away of why I loved it so much is the Prince Eric of it all. But
do you have a crush?
I loved Wild Uncharted Waters. That one was my favorite. I loved it. I listened to it over and over and over again.
What about you, Courtney? What did you think of this one?
I love the fact that they tried to give him a song. I like the song they gave him in the Broadway version better.
Oh, okay. Well, this is something I do not know about. Yeah. So what is the Broadway version? Like, where does it happen? What is the story with that song?
So he has a song called Her Voice, and it's kind of, it definitely kind of comes into the same point in the show, in the movie. Okay. He's already heard part of the part of your world reprise. He's looking for the girl who saved him, and he's just mesmerized by her voice. And he sings about how it makes him feel and how he's trying to find her. And it's just such a beautiful ballad song that I think they did it better. But I understand that the new song is more about him and wanting to go on adventures and be away from the castle. I think it was good for this version of the movie, but I feel like the song they gave him in the Broadway show is better.
Okay. And for me, I really enjoyed this song. I think it mirrors. I'm gonna do a lot of paralleling to Aladdin because I feel like the two are very on par with each other. Aladdin gave Jasmine her song, which I think is beautiful, and I feel like this did the same thing. It gave Eric a song and a path. It's his I want for himself, so we know where his heart is and what he wants. So when he achieves that, or at least looks like he's going to achieve it, we rejoice with him. So
for me,
did like
solidified the scene where he talks about that. So
So I'm trying to think though. I'm trying to think if it's. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I thought it was very good. And then Alan Menken really sealed it, like why they put this song here. So Alan Menken in the press conference says, "We chose the moment when Prince Eric has been told, 'Don't go back out to sea, you can't,' by his mom, the queen. And he thinks about this girl. It's a love song to her, and it's a love song to the sea and to his uncharted waters, his life ahead of him." An important theme throughout the movie. And both of these characters, both Ariel and Eric, like are told by their parents, no, you must stay in your lane. You must stay on shore. You must stay in the ocean. And they both rebel against that because they are drawn to the other, right? The other one. It's a lot like Moana's song, honestly. I felt that it paralleled Moana's song to the sea. Like the sea calls to her. So the sea is calling to him. So yeah. I love it. And producer John DeLuca said Eric needed his voice.
He did.
So they gave him a song.
And I get that. I just feel like they've done it 3 times with Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and the Little Mermaid. All 3 of them have 3 different versions. They have the animated version, they have the Broadway version, and they have the live action version. And all 3 movies have different songs, all written by Alan Menken, and he keeps reinventing the wheel, and I don't understand.
Oh, it's all about, look, there's a new soundtrack we can sell.
Exactly.
Although I will never forgive him for not putting home in Beauty and the Beast.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, Julie, wants to talk about Wild Uncharted Waters. She says, I liked the song, but I felt his voice wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be. I felt like the vocals were mixed too low with the music.
I felt exactly the same because I felt like the waves crashing, especially when he was on the boat. I felt like the song got lost. And that's kind of why I was like, maybe I need to watch it again or something like that. But I couldn't actually hear the words. And I didn't listen to the soundtrack before going to see the movie. And I felt like the waves crashing were louder than his singing. So I do feel the same way that Julie does.
See, I've listened to the soundtrack before accidentally and then after many times, and I felt like I love the song. That's how I love the song. During the movie, I was just watching him. I wasn't even really paying attention to the song or the waves or whatever. I was watching him.
Okay. We know where your heart lies, Kelly.
Yes.
That's funny. Wesley says, I didn't like any of Eric's songs.
Well, that's fair too.
Yes.
You can. Yeah, that's fair too. I'm sure he doesn't have I don't think he has the strongest singing voice either. But again, I think that they chose the people for the roles and kind of brung up their singing voices to where they needed to be.
Rob Marshall even mentioned that in the press conference, is that he casts for the acting and he likes it when it's acting first and then they sing. Like Melissa McCarthy as well. They coached her on her singing. And also looking even back at Into the Woods, I thought Emma... What's her name?
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt was fantastic, even though she doesn't have the best singing voice in the world, but she acted all her way all through those songs in there, and I thought it was fantastic.
Yes. Yes.
All right, but let's go to Ariel's new song, which is For the First Time, and this is the song that Ariel sings in her head, which was a little surprising to see in the theater. I was like, oh wait, she's singing. Oh, but she's not singing, but she's singing in her head her thoughts as she's human for the first time. So she's riding the little cart, then she's getting washed up in the castle, and then, she's getting ready to meet Eric, basically. So what did you guys think of this one, For the First Time?
I thought this one was fun. I really thought that it was kind of needed to kind of get a feeling of what she was actually feeling while she's going on shore for the first time and seeing carts and trying out new things and just, you can't speak it. So I think that the way they found a way to put her emotions into a song and give us another song for Ariel, because she only had one song in the animated version, was fun. I think it was fun.
Okay. Cool. Courtney.
I thought it was very fun. I loved the Caribbean beat that it had.
Yeah.
I felt it was because I'm going to compare it to the Broadway show a lot.
Sure. No, that's good. That's good. I like
what
this
they do
aspect.
in the Broadway show is they give her a song and she sings it in her head. Or like she's singing it, but it's meant to be in her head. And the one that they do in the Broadway show is called Beyond My Wildest Dreams. And that one is, she's so excited. She's here with Eric and she's seeing things for the first time. And she gets so giddy and she's just so happy to be on land. And so she's just interested in everything. And I kind of feel like this song is where they married the two, where they brought the Broadway and the animated into, one scene. And that was
so you approve.
I do approve of this one. Yeah.
I think this one is my favorite just because of what it represents. So, growing up through the years, like Kelly, I love behind the scenes stuff. Well, both of you.
Yeah.
I love behind the scenes stuff. And we've heard Alan Menken talk ad nauseum in a good way about how songs in musicals and represent a journey for the character. Maybe not from place to place, but in their character arc, right? Yeah. And so I feel like this particular song, For the First Time, really furthers Ariel's journey, or it really brings her, it's like an incredible breadth of the song. It's astonishing. So it first chronicles Ariel's surprise at being in this new place, being human, looking around like, oh my gosh, I'm not under the sea anymore. Then she's, and then gravity's pulling me down because she's never been with the gravity.
Oh, yeah. This is the one where she's telling herself to stand. Yeah.
Yes, to stand. Stand for the first time, for the first. And I apologize for my singing, but yes.
Yeah.
But the gravity's pulling me down. And so there's several different stanzas of this, and then she's getting cleaned up by the maids, and she's like, oh, what's this for the first time? It's soap for the first time, getting groomed for the first time. And then it reaches this crescendo when Eric's gonna walk through the door. It's like, oh my gosh, and it's so exciting. I just listened to the soundtrack all day. This song has been stuck in my head all day. And it's so exciting. And then Eric meets her, and this is like her. Then the next stanza is her crushing disappointment as she realizes her terrible mistake of the price she paid to get to that moment with Eric. It's her voice, right? Which means he will never know that she's the one who saved him. And so that last stanza is just completely heartbreaking. So her character has gone on this journey of excitement and thrill, and then just crushing, terrible disappointment all in this one song. And it's just a fantastic, ride. I would say it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan Menken and Lin-Manuel Miranda did wonders with the new songs. I thought they fit the movie, and we really needed what you said, that song for the first time. We needed that song because otherwise we're just kind of following her through the village while she's taking everything in, and while Hallie can act on her face, like what she's feeling. It was really nice to hear exactly what she was feeling.
Yeah. And that's what they do in the Broadway show. They actually give her two songs. They give her a song called If Only, and that's kind of the song like where she realizes, I wish I could talk to you. I gave up my voice and now I can't. So they kind of married the Beyond My Wildest Dreams with If Only and that song kind of thing.
That came out. Yeah. And Julie really likes the way they staged Ariel singing with no voice. I do too, Julie. And there's a moment that I caught on the second viewing that all throughout this scene, she is, they show her on screen and she's not moving her lips. But at one point, everything gets dark and the spotlight goes on her and she actually sings out loud.
Yes.
And I want to say it's the moment where she's crushed with disappointment.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is because everything goes dark and even Eric disappears.
All right. And Wesley says, I liked that they gave her an inner monologue through the song. All right. Well, let's talk about the next one, the scuttlebutt. Patty loved the scuttlebutt. Wesley also thought the scuttlebutt was his favorite as well. And it is so much fun. Scuttle and Sebastian, played by Daveed Diggs and Awkwafina.
Yeah, Awkwafina.
Oh my gosh. And it's the third day. Ariel, and she's woken up by Scuttle and Sebastian sharing the rumor that Eric is going to propose, and they wake her up and they're like, get out.
It's so Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's not even funny.
I was like, and it's totally Daveed Diggs as Lafayette doing Guns and Chips from Hamilton. Awesome.
There's one point where that rap gets super fast.
Yeah. And only Daveed Diggs could do it,
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. And I wasn't expecting it. Like I said, I accidentally heard the soundtrack a couple days before we saw the movie because we were waiting for the weekend to see it. And it came up on my Apple Music and it was playing. And I was like, what is this? So I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, I was like, that makes sense. That they would give her a song. And also, like, Scuttle wasn't a seagull. He's a northern gannet.
Oh.
Because they wanted him to go underwater. Because in the middle of the movie, I'm like, why can Scuttle talk underwater?
Yeah.
And watching the interviews, they changed the species from seagull to northern gannet because a northern gannet can go underwater and dive for things. So I thought that was interesting too. I was like, oh, that's why she can talk underwater.
Wow, Kelly learns all sorts of things. I love it.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of interviews.
Yeah. So Joey is asking, I wonder if it was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Somewhat.
So yeah, Alan Menken did the music and Lin-Manuel Miranda did the lyrics to this one. And Alan says in the press conference, he says, "The Scuttlebutt, which is a surprise gift from Lin-Manuel Miranda, because I gave him this Caribbean tune, and Lin sort of did a rap over it that was so perfect. And he used the music, but it had this rhythmic pulse to it. It was just pure Lin-Manuel Miranda."
And it shows. If you've seen anything Lin-Manuel's done, whether it be Hamilton, In the Heights, that's what it is. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, and when I listened to it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, where is this gonna go? What is this? What is this?" And then when I saw the scene, I was laughing and just being, it was just like, "Oh my god, this is so funny, so
it's
cute."
perfect scuttle. Like, it's not even perfect, like, Aquafina. It's perfect scuttle. Like, it fits that character so well. So well.
Yeah, let's see, Julie. When the Scuttlebutt started, I was afraid it was going to be cringy, but within a few lines, I completely changed my opinion. It was so fun, such a Lin-Manuel Miranda song, and this is a song I was telling my friends about. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's like, what's the Scuttlebutt? Yeah. I think it's gonna be
Scuttlebutt.
I think it's gonna be a new thing. I think it's gonna be a new like phrase.
Oh, totally. Well, people are already hashtagging it all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we've already talked. Well, okay, so do you guys remember the second part of your world reprise with Ariel at her lowest point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That almost made me cry.
Yeah. She's like just lost all hope, and and she's singing it in her "I Want" song reprise, and it's like, oh.
And her voice is so emotional at that point, and she just is like, ugh, I want it so bad, but it's not happening. And it made me very emotional when she was singing it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, out of all these new ones, I feel like the Scuttlebutt was the one that stood out to me after first watch, but upon thinking about it, I feel like for the first time is probably my favorite, just because of how the breadth of it.
Yeah.
I would have to say, out of the new ones, For the First Time is my favorite.
Okay, nice. What about you, Kelly?
Uncharted Waters.
Uncharted Waters, yes.
Yeah.
Eric's song. It's
Eric's song. Okay. I think that like his part just made it click and make sense for me. So that's just how that went.
Okay.
I've also, when I was little, I loved Prince Eric. He was so cute. And like I fell in love with Prince Eric in the animated one. So I was really happy that we got a really good Prince Eric.
He is very dreamy.
Yeah.
Very dreamy. And
he
like
also has like a British accent.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's God. We've lost her. Any kind of accent, like God.
And like,
that's so funny.
The bluest eyes.
Yep, it's good stuff. Dark hair, blue eyes, winning combo. Okay, so we've already talked about a little of the differences between the musical and this one. Is there anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, because actually in the musical, Triton has a song.
Oh, wow.
Triton has a song that he gets mad at Ariel and he sings that she can't go up there. And he sings like it's called The World Above. And it's a reprise to what Ariel sings in the beginning. She has actually 2 I Want songs. She has The World Above and Part of Your World in the show. And then he has a reprise on The World Above. And he says, you've brought all this stuff down here. You shouldn't be going up to the surface. And he's a lot more tougher on her in the musical than in the movie, the live action movie. And I feel like that was Triton was kind of lacking a little bit in character development and what they were doing different. on that, and
In this one,
in the live action.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't like the way they treated the sisters. I thought because the sisters, we lost the Daughters of Triton song, and
Okay.
then they really didn't have much to do in the live action film except for to find Ariel when she was missing. Even though they didn't really find her because she was on land.
I don't think they really cared.
No, they didn't even
No.
care in the like the way that they animated them. I feel like some of them were not finished.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And so I feel like they didn't really care about the sisters, even though like they had a whole song in the animated and the Broadway song version. And they represent the 7 seas, and they focused on what they call the coral moon, but they didn't really they didn't really say what they do.
They also changed all of their names.
Yes, they did.
Their names are all the C's instead of all of the A names.
Right.
I mean, it's not a huge deal, but that's why we probably didn't get the Daughters of Triton song.
Let's transition into this live action version, like what they did kind of differently, like what worked well and what did not work so well. So right now you're talking about the sisters.
Yeah,
but I want to mention something about that is what I thought was really cool was the fact that in the original, the sisters are just the sisters, or the Daughters of Triton. I think they just are daughters and they sit around the castle and, whatever. I don't know what they do, but it's not clear. But in this version, it was pretty clear that they were kind of the queens of their part of the ocean, right? There's 7 seas in the globe of the earth. And each one was a different nationality that represented the ocean, like the Indian Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, like you could see the nationalities represented. And I thought that was really cool. And I thought that elevated them. Even though they didn't get a song that maybe represented that, it was clear if you were paying attention that they were rulers of their various seas.
Yeah,
and
I liked that. I just wanted them to explain the coral moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I did like the fact that they were very diverse and represented everything, but I did see something that said, okay, but that just means that they all have different moms. And I was like, I didn't even think about it.
I didn't. I just feel like maybe Triton's kind of the ruler. You have the women who are rulers of their seas, and maybe they're not even related to him. It's just like he is in charge of them, I guess.
You know what? His brother is Poseidon, and you know all about those Greek gods, so you know.
Yeah.
But I loved all the representation.
Wow. All right. Well, I did not think about that.
I didn't either. I just saw a TikTok. I was like, oh. Yeah, that might not be so good.
Okay. Well, let's go around and say maybe another thing that didn't work so well, and then we'll say something that we thought maybe they did better. And anyone else here? Oh, Julie says blended families.
Exactly. There you go.
Oh, well, I didn't like that they took out Vanessa's song. I did not like that. Because I liked that. I liked Vanessa looking in the mirror and singing that song and turning into Ursula. I didn't like that. But what I didn't think worked was all of a sudden the animals were just pouncing on Vanessa, trying to wreck this wedding that was happening. And there wasn't a real clear reason why. Like in the animated film, it's because Chef Louis is trying to cook Sebastian, and he's like running around and gets into the cake and gets into the wedding, and then all of a sudden, they've hatched this plan to ruin the wedding, but also Chef Louis is part of that. And it just kind of came out of nowhere for me. That was a little weird for me.
That is a main difference. We didn't get Louis' song, the chef.
We didn't get the chef at all, but I think if we're not going to cook crabs, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, Patty was disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Chef Louis. Yeah.
Sometimes you need that levity. And Chef Louis was definitely that.
I think the scuttlebutt was kind of in place of the Chef Louis song. I think that's what that did. I have one thing that I thought that didn't work so well, and that would be the song Under the Sea. And I have one main reason, well, actually two big reasons that I didn't like Under the Sea. I thought one thing, the animation was cool. It was beautiful. You had her, like, I love the swimming with the dolphins part. I thought that was pretty. They used a trailer shot in that, like, against the sky, right? And the ocean. You could see her shadow swimming with the dolphins. That was cool. But when they're singing songs like the newt play the flute, the carp play the harp, the place play the bass, and they sound sharp. We didn't see any carps. We didn't see any newts. We didn't see any flutes. We didn't see any harps.
You know,
I was upset.
Yeah, I was kind of like confused. I was like, wait, why are we not showing, like, I wanted, like, that's the one thing I wanted shot for shot. Like, give me that. You know?
And I didn't understand. She's like, instead, she's swimming and touching, what are those? The poisonous...
the
jellyfish.
Jellyfish. The jellyfish.
Yeah. She's like touching the poisonous moon jellyfish. Remember when we were touching
moon jellyfish? Yeah.
But you're supposed to touch only the tops, and she's like touching everything. And then she's touching the really big jellyfish, like flying up on its arms, which is the most dangerous part. So if a little kid sees this movie, they're gonna think it's okay to touch jellyfish, and I don't think that's good.
No, especially the way she was like holding it, and they were going up, like. Don't hold that stem. No.
Okay, Wesley's saying it's the Man of War.
Oh, yeah.
Man of War.
But I did like the blowfish blow.
Yeah, that was cute.
That worked. But like, no hearts.
Courtney
no
knows
carps.
that during the Little Mermaid ride, I always have the little crabbies, and they go like this. And I love them so much. I love them so much. I always do the little dance when I go by. And none of that happened.
Well, Kelly, for you, was there something that didn't work very well for you?
I just the hair. The hair is the only thing that bothered me throughout the whole thing. I wasn't really bothered by the sisters or anything like that. I didn't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to bring up one more thing.
Yes.
That stood out in the live action where it didn't really faze me in the animation. That is Ursula talking to herself.
Right?
Or singing to herself. Or like she's like monologuing, and it's like, well, who's she talking to? I mean, I guess there's an underwater camera. I know, but it's like really funny.
In the animated version, she has all those like little worms. Worm thingies that she's made people into,
right?
And
she's maybe talking to
taking
them,
the souls, like she's basically taking their souls. Because in the animated version, Triton actually gets turned into one of those when he switches places with Ariel, and that's how she grabs the crown from him and puts it on, and ends up growing big, and she's got the crown on top of her head. Yeah, so when she was just kind of talking to herself, I mean, obviously the eels, Flotsam and Jetsam, are there, which she never said their names, I don't think.
No.
And so that was kind of weird. And at times, Flotsam and Jetsam looked very puppet-ish. They were very... I don't know. They weren't like eel-like to me because
they were at a certain point, because I was like, oh, they definitely look like Maury eels. But yeah, she never called them Flotsam and Jetsam. She never called them my poopsies or my babies.
But also the little wormy things were also her poopsies and her babies. And I think that, but I also think that maybe that was a choice. Because I heard Melissa McCarthy talking about the mental stability of Ursula and how she was playing it a little bit more.
She definitely was
unstable.
Crazy. Yeah, she definitely was
a little more what?
Unstable. You know, like like maybe the talking to herself was a little bit of them.
Yeah, Wesley said she did call them her babies when they died.
Oh yes, but that was the only time. Yeah, like okay. It was like one time. And then, so I think that she was told to play a little bit on the mental stability of Ursula, and maybe that was why she was talking to herself.
Okay.
And she's always alone. So, I mean, that would make sense.
You can definitely see that when she's like constantly moving, and she was doing that in the animated film too. She's always slithering around and getting in. Like, she definitely looked like an octopus or squid.
Yes.
Like, remember
Yes.
when we saw that at the aquarium and the octopus was like in this like little corner and it got really, really
Yeah.
small? I could see that's what they were trying to get at when she was like continuously moving all the way around and slithering, and I was like, okay. But at times, there was one time I was like, okay, you need to stop because I'm getting dizzy here. I can't follow where you're going.
So Joey Pittman wants to weigh in here. He's solved Ursula who she's talking to. He says that she was talking to her tentacles, like Doc Ock.
Makes sense. I like it.
Thanks, Joey.
That's amazing. I love it. Okay, so here comes the big question. Do you think we needed this remake of The Little Mermaid? Now, in this day and age, it's what, 20, 30? Oh my God.
It's
30 years.
34
years.
34 years.
What?
Yeah, 34.
It's as old as Kelly.
It's as old as me. So yeah, 34 years.
34 years later, and I was 8. Okay. All right. There we go. So, do we need this remake 34 years later? I'll chime in and say yes. I think a new generation, in the kids party entertainment that I do, I feel like kids have been knowing the song less and less of Under the Sea, which is I play that a lot when I do Bubbles, and they don't seem to have as much of an attachment to it as they did when I was starting out. So I feel like it's good to get it out in the zeitgeist again. I feel like the representation is amazing. The fact that now they have an Ariel, a black actress playing Ariel in the Disney parks that little girls can come meet, I think that's so cool. And all the merchandise, of course, is beautiful as well. And I've even seen an Etsy artist do one where they have like the original Ariel mirrored by Halle Bailey's Ariel, like in this beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
I think you showed me, and I thought that was gorgeous.
Did you see the TikTok where it was like when animated Ariel gets to hang out with live action Ariel? And it was
Yes, I did
so
see that.
cute. Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, what did you guys think?
Well, I would say that in the beginning, I didn't think we needed it, but now that it's out and seeing the Little Mermaid out in the parks and how the kids are responding to it, yeah, I think we did need it. Yeah, I think it has its issues, but I think it's very well done. Like I said, I think it's in the top half of the remakes, and I think it'll exactly. And I'm glad they didn't change it completely from the animated version. I'm glad that they still didn't go with the original Hans Christian Andersen, where she doesn't get the prince and she turns into sea foam. And,
oh God, no.
Yeah, that's because I've seen an animated version of that, and that's scary. But yeah, I think we did need it.
Yeah. Kelly?
Do I think we needed it? Maybe not. But do I think that I'm glad we have it? Yes, I'm glad we have it. After seeing it, I love what they did with Prince Eric. I love what they did with the storyline. Halle did amazing. And seeing kids with not only the live action in the parks and rekindling their love for the Little Mermaid, but to see Halle interact with kids and how they are like, you're the mermaid, I want to be a mermaid, and like going back to when I wanted, how you were saying, Sarah, you wanted to be a mermaid, and I think that we really need those types of movies, because sometimes kids aren't always going to want to watch the older versions of things. I mean, I know that like my parents, I don't always want to watch the older versions of what they liked, but what are some remakes of what they liked are what I like. So yes, we needed this movie. And we don't want to lose these characters because these characters are
timeless.
They're good messages. And we keep updating those messages. I love that the messages got updated for girls and for women of color and for diversity and people of all backgrounds can see themselves in a Disney princess movie, and that is exactly what we need right now.
I mean, like, even take Prince Eric, like, he lost his dad. He has a woman
He
of
was
color.
adopted.
He was adopted, and he has a
He was
woman of
adopted.
color as the
Yeah.
queen and his
Yeah.
mom. So,
Yeah.
yeah, anybody can see themselves in this.
And jumping off of that, I think they even added a message with this film, and that is the parents. So Eric in the original doesn't have a mom or dad. He's just kind of there.
It's just Grimsby.
Yeah. And so now he's got his mom, who's very prejudiced against the sea. Ariel has her dad, King Triton, who's very prejudiced against land people. And they, by the end, I mean, that final shot, you look, the camera pans to the shore and you see the ocean, that there are just people and mer people all together.
Yeah.
And it's like this whole message, because the parents, the adults, have learned how to open up their hearts and that loving, well, to get rid of their prejudice against the other, because their children have taught them this lesson. Like usually it's up to the adults to teach kids the lessons, but in this one, the kids taught their parents a lesson of being open-minded. Exactly. And I think that was a really cool message that they shared.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Let's see. So let's round out that discussion with Julie, who says that the fact that it is 34 years later, I think, yes, it was a good time to do a remake, and they did a great job creating a film, which I will watch over and over. It has enough of the original without being a scene-by-scene remake. Mm-hmm. It is my favorite live-action Disney remake to date. Awesome.
Well, where does it rank on your live-action list?
That's a good question. Everyone else. So Julie, it's her favorite.
Okay.
For me, I would say that it's right up there with Aladdin is my favorite. But Little Mermaid will be one that I will definitely put on Disney Plus, and I don't really do that for any of the others except for Aladdin. So those two right now are even. Yeah. And I'm not sure which will win, but I think time will tell. Because I do love this soundtrack. I think this soundtrack flows more than Aladdin because, I'm sorry, Will Smith.
Yeah, no.
It kind of ruins his songs. It's like not good.
I mean, he does an okay job.
He does an okay job.
He does his
Eric
version.
is better.
Yeah.
Jonah
he does his
Eric.
version of Genie.
Yeah.
We all know what would have been better, but his version of Genie.
yes. So that's I think they're up there, those two.
Yeah.
What about, and Beauty and the Beast is like right after that. So top 3 are those. Okay.
Well, on mine it goes Aladdin, Cinderella I really liked, but the top 3 is kind of Aladdin, Little Mermaid, and Cruella, but I'm not sure where.
Right. It hasn't been out long enough. All right, Kelly.
So Aladdin is still number 1 for me as well. Speechless just knocks me off my feet all the time. I love singing it when it comes on in the parks. And also I love what they did with Jasmine and Aladdin, and they had really good chemistry in Aladdin. I really love Aladdin. Then I have a tie because it's so bad, because Beauty and the Beast, Bella's my princess. I loved Beauty and the Beast too. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did. I thought it was gorgeous, and I thought Emma Watson did very well as Belle, and I loved the Beast song, the new song.
Evermore,
that makes me cry. Evermore, every time. So, Little Mermaid. I don't know if I can put Little Mermaid above Beauty and the Beast. But right now, I think I am. I think it's going to be Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast.
Wow. Okay. Great. Is there anything else before we wrap up this discussion? Is there anything else or any other performances you want to mention before we wrap up?
I do think Melissa McCarthy and Jonah
Hauer-king.
Hauer-king, give a special shout out to them because we didn't talk about them a lot. I mean, I did mention Prince Eric a lot, but he was, I think his performance and like the scenes that they gave him, especially the scene of her overhearing him talking about his aspirations for the kingdom and what he wants to do and how he wants to rule. And that's really how she fell in love with him. I thought like that was the beginning of like, oh, well, this guy is more than just he's more than just a human who is disgusting and wrong and blah blah blah, you know, like
And out to get
whatever
us.
that
Yeah.
is instilled in her. He does actually care about people and he does actually want to change the world basically.
Yeah.
So I thought that his performance and was really good, and that's really why it's my favorite, is that the story is more fleshed out and their love story is more believable to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's the thing that stood out to me most about this live action version. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, they have such a connection. Like, we get to see Ariel's collectibles in her secret cave, and Eric has his own secret treasure trove of collectibles that he's been all around the world for. And I just thought that, like, they are kindred spirits. And I think it was beautifully played.
Yeah.
And Melissa McCarthy herself even mentioned in the press conference that she was talking to both Hallie and Jonah about Ariel and Eric. And she says, I just want to say you guys have given, instead of it being these caricatures, you've given Ariel and Eric humanity. You've tethered it to real people. And I think that's the big difference, is you guys brought your humanity to the screen. And after watching the live action version and their love story, their chemistry together, I was like, what did I ever see in the animated Ariel and Eric?
I know, right?
Like,
yeah.
and I think my favorite moment is when they finally kiss. It's not on a big boat in the middle of a wedding. It's this private moment of just those two souls connecting on the shore, like the place where the sea and the land meet. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And I really liked Melissa McCarthy's portrayal
Ursula.
of Ursula. I thought, just because I do love the Broadway show so much, and I love in the Broadway show, Ursula has more than one song. She has 3. She has I Want the Good Times Back, and then there's a reprise of the Good Times Back, and then she has Poor Unfortunate Souls. And with I Want the Good Times Back, it's more of a sarcastic, witty, playful song. And so I feel like Melissa McCarthy really embodied that part of Ursula, and I love that. She was sharp, she was witty, she was
she had the theatricality down.
Yeah,
like
I loved it.
If anybody could have done better on the theatrics, I don't know, but like she just was very playful and just, you know, bringing every nuance to the words she was saying, you know, acting every thing that she was actually portraying. And I love Melissa McCarthy. I love her pretty much in everything she does. She's so funny, so hilarious. I was so interested into seeing how she would interpret Ursula, and I really enjoyed it. So I think,
She really stood out at the press conference, just being so poised and smart. And like, sometimes actors do that at the press conferences. They just kind of take over, and whatever they say is like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about it that way. Yeah. So she was just a delight even then as well. So I love that.
Oh, I love that.
I want to bring up one more thing, and that's Javier Bardem as King Triton. So he mentioned
he was very scary.
He was scary. Okay.
Scary.
But he was also really funny because at the press conference, he said, I'm glad Rob Marshall put me in armor rather than me being bare naked. That's the one thing I was really worried about.
I think people out there would beg to differ. He was actually not in armor, but I get it.
Yeah, and it was cool armor. It was like that mother of pearl, pearlized.
And you know
like,
what?
Coral.
The animated scene where King Triton comes in and destroys her collectibles is one of the scariest scenes that I think I remember seeing as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he scared me when he came in and just started like
Blowing up the
breaking
place.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew it was coming, obviously, because of the animated movie, but he was a very looming presence. Um, uh, uh, and the way he was being overprotective with her because she is the youngest and she's a little flighty, and they really can't always find her and they don't know where she is. And
Yeah. I was scared of the shark. They made the shark look
yeah.
weird, really real. And I was
Yeah.
scared of the shark. That was, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and another thing that I loved was that they explained why she had to give her voice up was, and Melissa McCarthy says, she does one line where you have to give up your mermaid gifts, and your
The voice
voice
is a
is a
mermaid gift.
siren song.
Oh, wow.
So the siren song of a mermaid is a mermaid gift, and that is why she had to give up the voice, because
she didn't want to lure him and put him under a
it would be
spell.
unfair. She says it's so unfair if you had your voice because of the siren song.
Yeah.
And that's in lore of mermaids.
It's in the Greek lore, especially
The Greek
like
lore,
in the
where they
Odyssey.
lure the shipmen
Yep.
in with their voices to their death.
The shipwreck.
To the shipwrecks. And so I thought that, again, it makes sense. Like, why she has to give up her voice, why she can't sign a contract. Like, I just felt like Rob Marshall and everybody on this film just filled in those plot holes that I never thought about until now. But the voice is a mermaid gift, so she had to give it up because she was giving up all her mermaid gifts for legs. So I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I want to, as we wrap up with our final thoughts, I invite the Sky Chat also to share their final overall thoughts of the film, because we're going to share immediately in our shout outs right after our final thoughts here. So, all right, type in your comments, everybody, type in. So, final thoughts. We've kind of been wrapping up, but still, I want to hear. So, Courtney, if you have final thoughts of this film.
My final thought is, it surprised me. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. I still, like I said, I do have some gripes with it. There's some things I have an issue with, but they're small little things, and I wouldn't say it's a bad film because of those small little things. So,
well, if it's in your like top 5, definitely not a bad film.
No, it's not a bad film at all. So,
okay, Kelly.
Final thought is I can't wait to see it again. I really want to. Like you, Sarah, you're like, I want to go see it again. I want to see it again. I think if you are on the fence of seeing it and you're worried about any loss of nostalgia or loss of what am I looking for? A loss of, will this not live up? Yeah, muddier memories or not live up to expectations. I think that your worries should be quelled. I think that if you go into it and watch it as a fan and open mind, I think you will come away with a lot more than you think you will. And I think it has reignited a love for me in the movie. Little Mermaid was not my favorite growing up. It wasn't it wasn't like I hated it or anything like that. It just wasn't in my top. But it's reignited something for me. And I think that it's a fun, cute little movie, and I want to watch it over and over and over again.
Excellent. Yeah. I think this, over all the live action ones, did the love story just really well, and the chemistry between them, and it really showcased that a love story is not just about lust or attraction. It's about making a connection with another person on a deeper level as friends. Yeah. Like they start a friendship before they ever have any kind of, like romantic connection. All right. Well, it is time for shout outs.
Shout outs. Skywalker shout outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
All right, so we have some awesome comments here from the live stream.
Julie says, I have always loved The Little Mermaid, but this version has made it believable and real for an adult, not just the young teenage girl that first saw the animated version. It is my adult version with the magic that was always there. Yes.
That is beautifully stated, Julie.
Yeah. Agreed. I'll read Joey's here.
Okay.
Joey says, really good. Rob Marshall might be one of the most underrated directors, especially great with musicals.
I full-heartedly agree because I loved Into the Woods. Into the Woods was amazing.
Into the Woods knocked me out. Yeah, and I'll have to say that even Rob Marshall even mentioned, like, he and Alan Menken were talking in the press conference how musical is a very tricky thing because one step in the wrong direction and you've got SNL. And another step in the other direction, you have like it's not a musical anymore. So it's like you got to ride that line perfectly, and he does a really great job.
But also, I think that you can really feel his heart in this movie and how much time and effort and care he put into this movie and the cast. And it really starts with the director to instill the cast to care and to put that effort and to make it good and to let them do what they do, but also steer the ship. And I think you can feel it coming off the screen from Rob Marshall,
Yeah, definitely. And I just realized that I set up all these pictures and I never used them while we were talking. But there he is.
Prince Eric!
There's his Prince Eric.
I've been looking at Prince Eric.
I can't believe it. Oh my God.
I like that one. That's good.
Here's King Triton, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here's another one for Kelly.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Oh my God. All right. I like set this whole. Okay. Wow. Now, everyone, I'm going to end it here with Wesley's comment. I thought it was a good remake and loved the diversity in it. Excellent.
Absolutely.
That wraps up episode 421 of Skywalking Through Neverland. And I want to thank you both, Courtney and Kelly Turckel.
So fun.
Thank you, ladies. And we also want to thank all of you Skywalkers who comment and commenting tonight. You guys had some great comments and we love that. So thank you so much. And if you are interested in our books, well, autographed copies of Today in Star Wars History, Parts 1 and 2, plus our Skywalking Through My Fandom Interactive Notebook are available now from skywalkingthroughneverland.com/book. Courtney, would you like to thank our sponsor?
I would. We would like to thank our sponsor, Small World Vacations, for their support. Thinking of getting a trip to Disney parks? You can get a quote from at smallworldvacations.com today. Their vacation planning service is free of charge. So check it out and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Awesome.
And Neverland Clubhouse, because we use them.
Absolutely. I think you use them more than us.
We have, yeah. We've planned multiple trips with Small World Vacations. They're wonderful.
Yep. All right. Well, would you like to support Skywalking Through Neverland? We've got some supporters right here, Courtney and Kelly.
Yeah. Patreon.
Patreon, that's right. You guys can support us through the Skywalking Force, our Patreon, and you guys have access to bonus content in the form of participating in our Zoom discussions on the latest Disney Plus shows, such as The Mandalorian and Andor, and also you get coupon codes to use for our books. You guys did that too, right? It's like 50% off.
Yeah, I got 50% off.
Through My Fandom. Yep. Pretty good.
Yep.
That bonus content begins at only $5 a month, so head to skywalkingforce.com, have a look at the options, and thank you to those of you who are already part of the Skywalking Force like Courtney and Kelly.
Yep.
Yay.
Join us.
All right.
He went with the Force.
I love it. All right, Kelly, what are we part of?
We are part of the Skywalking Network, where you can also find other great shows like Talking Apes,
the Max Effects Podcast,
the Neverland Clubhouse,
Totally Tell Me Everything,
Star Warsologies, and the YouTube shows
Collectopolis,
and Today in Star Wars History.
Excellent. And you can find us on social media. We are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter and Instagram. And on YouTube, we are also Skywalking Through Neverland. And both of those have our daily Today in Star Wars History shorts. So you can get a minute of Star Wars in your day. It's super fun. And then, of course, always follow at Neverland Clubhouse Pod on Instagram as well. You guys are always sharing all the Disney news over there.
Any news
and
that
stuff
pops
that you
up.
do. Yeah.
Because we're a monthly show, so we love to keep up with the latest news on Instagram.
Absolutely.
And if you haven't heard our show, please go over and listen to it.
Yeah. Search
just like
Neverland
this.
Clubhouse in any of your podcast.
Yeah, I think our last one was about our trip on the Disney Wish.
Yes.
So, in
super
January.
informative too. It was amazing. All right. Well, don't forget to stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show. And always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Hey, look at those names to the left. They are part of the Skywalking Force, our Patreon.
Become a producer yourself and check out all the Disney Plus themed bonus content available depending on the level you subscribe.
Become a member of the elite Skywalking Force at skywalkingforce.com.